All right, so managing fear with your dog. If you have an aggressive dog, and I don't talk about this enough with clients, and I'm going to start stressing it a lot more, I think, particularly with female clients, with dogs with aggression issues. And it's actually very important. And I look at my job, I really stress technique. I think it's because I'm going to get into this, but that's how I think you manage fear. It's getting good at something and preparing, but you could help me, but I don't explain why. I explain how a lot, and just with the understanding that like this is obviously a means toward that end. Well, I don't think it's always clear. So let me give a couple of examples, and they're probably excessively masculine examples, but I think they might be useful. About what you're going to do with fear and how you use it, probably in general, but the only thing that's relevant here is with dogs that have aggression issues because they're fucking scary, especially if you're a woman. If you're a woman, you can't rely on brute physicality and kind of muscling the dog or really bullying the dog because they know that they're stronger than you are. Or at least if they don't know, you do. So this is how I do it because, I have, I don't know if fear is the right word. I have a healthy respect for an animal's ability to hurt me. You have to respect their ability to hurt you and or others. So it's just like with dog fights. The potential for dog fights and how scared they make me is what makes me partially so aggressive about trying to prevent them, both with dogs and people. And it's also what makes me prepared for them, right? So I have mace in case something breaks out. I'm gonna probably end up getting a cattle prod. I'm that fucking, and people, it's not a training tool. It's like an emergency thing. Because I talked to another trainer. He's like, his brother and his dog got into a fight once, and they wouldn't let go. And the only thing that could get him to do it, they live out west, was a cattle prod. So I was like, I'll get me one of those. And that's the point: is that take that fear and channel it, and constructively try to solve problems. So here's the two examples I want to give, and they're hyper masculine. So I apologize for that, but please bear with me and really try to think about the substance of what I'm saying. So there's this guy I admire. His name is Howe. He's from the Special Forces community. He's from Delta Force, and I'm like basically like a hard left Chomsky pinko liberal. Well, not even just leftist, but I have like a man crush on like Delta Force and all that shit because I think those guys are badass. It's like Jason Bourne. And this guy, Howe, he was featured in the book Black Hawk Down. I think the movie's a piece of shit. The book's great. So I was watching a documentary, and it was basically just him talking about the Battle of Mogadishu in Somalia, which was horrible. I mean, they got pinned down. If they didn't have air support, all those guys would have gotten slaughtered. So he was talking about fear in combat and managing fear. And in combat, I would imagine, has to be the most stressful situation, at least that I can think of. I can't think of too many situations that'd be scarier, especially if things aren't going well. So that's what happened. They were pinned down and trapped in the city of Mogadishu, and he was just talking about how do you deal with a situation like that, and just in combat in general. And he says, well, look, there's always going to be fear, and that's inevitable. You don't try to get rid of it. So what you do is you constructively try to solve problems to improve your situation. So he was saying how he wanted to tighten their perimeter. I'm not going to get into details, but like he wanted to keep improving their position incrementally to make it more secure, and he was focused on doing that. He's like, and you solve tiny problems one thing at a time incrementally, almost like a math equation. And you focus on that. And A, it distracts you from the fear. B, it improves your situation. C, it gives you a sense of control because you're actively trying to do something. And it's the only thing you can do. Even if the situation is completely hopeless, which you never know if it is or not. And this is just in life in general. Because you never know. Maybe Maybe you win the lottery. Who the fuck knows, right? You have no choice but to try, because otherwise you're definitely fucked. So he stressed you actively try to solve problems, and we're focusing on that. And then he talked about training. He said, well, that's why you train. If you feel prepared going into battle, and you run through every single permutation or every single situation imaginable, and you have all this precise, highly advanced training, that's where you get your confidence from. It doesn't appear out of thin air. So you know what to do when the situation happens, when you go live. So actively solving problems in preparation, I think, are two ways that I deal with it. I think they're probably generally one of the best ways to handle fear, particularly with dangerous situations when you're dealing with, whether it's violence, it's something else. The other guy I want to reference is Customato. He was Mike Tyson's trainer. He's actually like one of my heroes. I love Cuss, and I love Norman Mailer, the famous writer. He eulogized Cuss, and he said he was one of the foremost philosophers on the subject of masculine courage. Which, all right, sounds a little macho, but if you deconstruct, masculinity isn't really a popular topic to talk about these days, but if you think about it at its core, when it comes to whether it's some really intense violent situation, whether it's a boxing match, an actual physical altercation, combat, trust me, for men, anything involving violence is inherently, unless the person's a psychopath, it's inherently terrifying. Now, usually the best strategy is to avoid that shit, right? Not always possible, but men are scared too, is my point. And there's a sort of a cultural expectation more for men to at least be exposed to that kind of shit more. So we have to figure out coping strategies, and so that's what I think Mailer generally was referring to when he talked about Cuss, and Cuss had to preach to his fighters about how to manage fear in the ring, and he said the biggest obstacle you're going to face is how to manage your fear, because when you go out there, you're going to be all alone. I can't do anything for you, and you're going to be fucking terrified. There's nothing you can do, and you're naked out there, you're in front of the audience, and it's not about getting hurt or losing the fight. That's not what drives fear in that context. It's the humiliation of looking like a coward, looking like a pussy, like of being stripped of one's dignity and masculinity in front of an audience, and it's a terrifying prospect. And maybe a lot of women don't have a lot of sympathy for that, but I actually find that insensitive. It's like what I'm describing is not a pleasant experience now, and they don't always come upon people by choice. Boxing is one which I did, and it's my favorite sport. And it's terrifying in that context, but sparring's fun. But anyway, you're going to be scared, and you have to embrace it. And what Cusso's famous line was, "Fear is your friend." What you have to do is pay attention to it, okay, and kind of channel it productively, just like Paul Howe was saying, and think, first of all, let it motivate you to train and to prepare. So practice the leash work first and foremost. Understand what to do in each situation and break it down, okay? And by the way, this stuff is not intellectually challenging for the most part, but don't let it dominate you. There are irrational fears and rational ones. Try to be able to tell the difference between the two, and that's how you get through it. And you prepare, and that's the only way, I think, to manage fear. At least for me, I'm a fairly anxious person, and when I feel most in control is when I'm prepared with shit in life, which I'm not very organized, but when I'm organized by my standards, I'm much less anxious. And it's the same basic principle. So, fear is your friend. Pay attention to it. It's telling you something. Don't let it dominate you, though. And the way it will dominate you, you won't know what to do. So listen to what I'm telling you. That's why I'm here. Do exactly what I describe, and prepare. Get really good with the leash. Get really good with timing. Allow the fear to motivate you, and allow it to direct your attention where it needs to go. And then it won't dominate you. Then it's your friend. It's your ally. Because there's a reason we evolved with fear. It's an unpleasant sensation, okay? But it's there to tell you something. And if you don't listen to it, a lot of people, when they're afraid, what they do is they'll just try to like tune out. It appears like they're relaxed in the situation. It's not. They're just like, they're being passive. Now it's someone else's problem or something bad's going to happen. Don't adopt that. And then the other thing is they freeze. Because they feel like they don't know what to do, or they feel like they can't do it. I'm telling you, you can. If you're a female owner with a dog with aggression issues, you almost certainly can do it. You're going to need professional help, but let me help you, and work with me, because I give everything I got to my clients. So, work with me, and you're going to have help, but you got to step up and do it on your own too, and you can. All right. And one last thing, young me, when she had Elvis is extremely aggressive. I got him before we lived together. She was dealing with him. I was out in the Hamptons bartending. She called me on the weekends, freaking out. And then we got a trainer. And the trainer was very old school. He was an excellent trainer, but he was old school, sort of like healer style. Not as fucking harsh, but same sort of system basically. And he was rough on her. And he made her like cry once. And she kind of needed it, I think, because she hadn't prepared with the leash work. And she called me and she's like, well, what am I going to do if when he comes home I can't handle him? And I said, look, young man, I think what you should do is just do exactly what Roland says. Practice what he said. Just do it over and over. And she's like, but I feel like if I do it this way, I go, no, you can't have opinions. You just have to do exactly what he says and do what he asked. And I said, and that's how you're going to get your confidence and how you're going to get past this. So just understand it's going to be okay, but you got to listen to what he says, and you got to try and be prepared. All right? So I feel a little corny trying to motivate people a little bit, but I'm just telling the truth anyway. And that's how I try to motivate people, is through the truth. So I hope this doesn't sound Tony Robbins-esque or self-help, because God forbid I sound positive about anything. But I hope this helps. And it's an important video, and it's very important for female owners to hear. So, all you guys, we got Nona, we got Heather, we got Jenna, we got, who's the other one we got going on? I have a lot of female clients or couples with aggressive dogs, and you guys, you can do it. I've done it had success with a ton with clients in the past who I'm more than happy to have you talk to. You can do it, okay? And just hang in there, but you got to remember what I said. This video is for you guys, so I hope it helps.